and getting YouTube to really like and push our channel over getting people onto an email list, and hoping that they were just going to find us just through raw kind of like old school marketing.
Welcome back to the Talking Web Marketing Podcast with myself, Ilana Wexler. This is a show where we reveal the best tips, tricks and tactics to increasing your website traffic and then converting that traffic into leads and sales. We also discuss what's working right now in the ever-changing world of web marketing so you can apply it to your business. Welcome to today's episode of Talking Web Marketing. Today, I have a gentleman under the name of Scott Devine, who some of you and a few people that I know personally have definitely heard of him. He runs a really, really successful YouTube channel as well as a membership site on bass guitars. So welcome to today's show, Scott.
Hello.
Yay,
How's it
welcome.
going? Hey, thanks for having me as well.
No, I'm super stoked to have you here. So thank you for taking time out of your day. We're all very busy people, so I really appreciate you coming on today's show. So as I said, you've got the most amazing YouTube channel. I've certainly checked it out before we even arrange this interview. As I told you offline, a friend of mine is a huge fan of your YouTube channel, so I checked it out and I thought, I've got to get this guy on today's show. So you have a YouTube channel with over 450,000 subscribers, which is an amazing achievement, which you told me you've built completely organic, not a cent on paid traffic. So congratulations.
Yeah.
That is an amazing achievement. So, can you give us a little bit of a background about yourself and how you got started?
Yeah, absolutely. I really got into it by accident. I'm just I'm a musician through and through. It's all I've ever been able to do. I was like a bad student at school, didn't get any exam grades or anything like that, and just fell into being a pro musician. Met a few great guys that helped me, make that happen in terms of, I was from a really small town in the UK. There was no pro musicians, okay? So it wasn't a career path that was on the cards. But I met a guy that really kind of opened my eyes to what was possible, and I decided to go down that route. Became a professional musician, practiced my arse off to make that happen, obviously. And everything was fine until kind of sort of like mid to late mid-20s when I got something called focal dystonia, which is a neurological movement disease which attacked basically my hands. And obviously I'm a bass player. Yeah, you don't want anything attacking your hands, right? Yeah. So I had 6 months off. Now, in that 6 months period, my entire living was being a professional musician. So I had, as many of your listeners will have, rent to pay, or I had a mortgage in that time, and I had kids on the way and that whole thing. So, actually, I didn't have kids on the way. That was way before then. I just sort of threw that in. I'm so having kids now. It's like they've been with me forever.
Can't imagine your life before them.
I know. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But yes, I needed to make some money. My wife, she wasn't my wife then, she was my partner. She had a job, but obviously I didn't want to just sit on my ass for 6 months while I took this time off and tried to work on getting my hands back together and working again. So I just thought, I can manage to play bass for 10 minutes a day. I can maybe teach. So I looked into teaching, and straight away I knew that teaching just within the city I was living in was probably going to be limited. So why not do it on the internet? I didn't have a computer at the time, and I'd never been on YouTube in my life at this point. Didn't even know it existed. And I used to go, my partner at the time, my wife now, took me to an internet cafe, and showed me. This is the truth. Show me the internet. I was like, all right. And that's when I decided, I can teach. I could maybe do something online, something like I could reach a wider demographic somehow and fill up a sort of my diary, just teaching one-to-one. So I kind of got into it a little bit, just researching, etc. Saw this thing called YouTube, and there was a few guys posting online on YouTube doing free lessons. And I thought, well, maybe that's a really great way to get traffic to a website, obviously a website that didn't exist at the time, but that will get traffic to a website, and then I'll offer my one-to-one Skype lessons on there. I
Right.
built a website, which I think at the time took me like seriously like 2 months to figure out. Like I'd never heard of WordPress. I didn't know I didn't know. I can remember it took me about 3 days to figure out how to embed a YouTube video in a WordPress page
That's
because there was no
hilarious.
tips on how to do it. I was just like lurking around YouTube trying to make it happen. So built this kind of really janky website where I offered one-to-one Skype lessons, and then I posted a few YouTube videos on YouTube, just lessons, free lessons, and said at the end of the lessons, hey, if you want to, study with me one-to-one, I do Skype lessons. Go over to the website and contact me via there. And that was kind of the start of it, and that was 7 years ago.
7 years ago, right?
Yeah, I bought my first computer 7 years ago to do this.
Wow.
And strangely, I did call the website scottsbaselessons.com because I just, there wasn't any. I didn't think of anything. There was no higher kind of like I wasn't trying to achieve any kind of sort of like grandiose goal of kind of like, I don't know, changing base education worldwide at that point. So yeah, so that's how I got started. And then just as you get into the online thing and you start researching how to just how to build a business, you obviously start realizing and seeing people talking about selling your hours to money is a limiting thing. So I was like, okay, maybe I could do correspondence lessons where people send me tapes of themselves or recordings of themselves somehow, and then I will send them a recording back. That was a terrible idea, but I did that for a few.
So
That
you
was
did
also
actually do that.
so yeah, absolutely, yeah, for a ridiculously cheap price as well. But it was just, I was just getting into it. I was kind of finding my feet, and then so I was doing that, did that for a few months, and then I fell upon a video by a guy called Brendan Burchard. Now, Brendan Burchard now is more of a kind of like lifestyle, not a lifestyle, but kind of like a heal yourself kind of dude, right? He's like, he's kind of like all
Yeah.
positive, a Tony Robbins style of character, right? That's what he's going for. But back then, he was like an out and out kind of like internet marketing guy, but cool, like a kind of Jeff Walker type character.
Yeah.
Who obviously does like product launch formula and stuff, and your listeners should definitely check that out if they haven't already. So I fell upon this video, like I was on somebody's channel, like a bass player who I was like checking out his bass playing, and he had liked on people's channels. You can see what videos they've liked. He'd liked this video, and it said how to build an internet business or something along those lines, right? So I clicked play on that video, and it changed my life. It was like 1 hour of Brendan Burchard telling you how you can make money online using products and programs to do so. I was like, ding, the light bulb went off. I was like, oh, right, okay, that's why you should have an email list. I better sign up for MailChimp. So I signed up for MailChimp, came up with a lead magnet, and then started building a mailing list. And at this point, I was posting probably a YouTube video once every month. I know that sounds ridiculous, but nobody was doing it at this point. I know like nowadays you get people doing it every day or at least once a week, right?
Yeah.
But back then there was just nobody doing it. There was me and one other guy. So
Amazing.
so I was getting sort of like a decent amount. Like I wouldn't be able to tell you how many in terms of like, visitors to the site I was getting because I wasn't even hooked up to Google. I'd never even heard of Google Analytics at this point, right? So, yeah. But I was getting, like 50 subscribers a day, email subscribers, and building that list. And at this point, I really didn't know what to do with them. I was like, oh, maybe I should start do some sort of product, right? So I created some sort of a product. I actually created 5 products all at once because that's how hard I like to make it for myself, bizarrely. Yeah. Take the easy route? No, let's do like 5 products.
Let's find the hardest way. We'll go with that.
Absolutely right. So created 5 products at once. They were all kind of related to each other, and I sold them for like sub $20. I think it was like $17 or something like that a piece. And then that's really when I started realizing that, oh, wow, this is, this actually works. We're actually doing this. And to that point, that last few months of running the site and trying to get all that together, my wife was definitely getting a little itchy at this point. She was like, you're on your computer 12 hours a day researching this stuff. You're making like zero money. She was like, I don't mind you doing that, but what I do mind is that you're just like killing yourself for nothing. How long are you going to give it? And I was like, it's going to happen. It's going to be cool. I've got a master plan. And just kind of at that point, that's when I did create that product and all those 5 products. And we saw, so we went from, I can't remember what year it was, but I made something like low hundreds, of dollars the entire year from the website. And then when I launched that program, I made, and it wasn't sustainable. I mean, it wasn't sustained this amount, but I made over $1,000 in that first day.
Incredible.
After when I launched that program, and that to me was the validation of all of that hard work was actually going to pay off, and it was fine, and the master plan was going to work. And obviously it dropped down after that first week. I wasn't making $1,000 a day off the bat like that. It was more of a kind of sort of like a 7-day launch type thing, and then the price went up. I did probably some sort of discount or something like that, and that was it. I was convinced at that point, and then from then, so that was only probably like 5.5, 6 years ago. I probably did it for like 12 to 18 months, kind of battling with which direction to go, Skype lessons, correspondence lessons, all that stuff, until and then trying, obviously figuring out how to build a WordPress site, and, the 10 months it took me to work out how to embed a video in a page, and that thing, like, and just sort of like, if any of your listeners are not techie at all, it's okay. We can come out and be proud, out and proud.
Yeah, loud and proud.
Out and proud. I'm terrible at tech. I was doing a mastermind last night, and everybody's talking about, and I'm into it, right? So I understand sort of like conversion tactics and, retention and, churn and all of this. I understand it, but I find it's not natural for me. So I probably have to put sort of like 10 times the amount of work in on that side of the business than other people do. So right now I'm looking actually to hire a head of marketing for the company, because that's something I really need to get right, and I'm probably not doing it perfect at the minute. In fact, I know I'm not doing it perfect. So it's something we're going to grow into, and over the next hopefully hire somebody over the next month or so, and I'll be able to concentrate more on being creative and the educational side of what we're doing, which is really my sweet spot. If any of you guys follow Dan Sullivan, he talks about something called unique ability, and it's something cool to check out. I can't remember what his podcast's called actually, but it's Dan Sullivan and Joe Polish. Have you checked it out?
I have. Is it the 10X one?
Yeah, that's it. 10X, yeah. It's cool.
It is cool.
Yeah,
I like it, yeah.
It's kind of a reminder of, to get out the weeds and get somebody else to do the stuff that you're really crap at and try and focus on
I think there's merit in that, and, in terms of, sticking to your knitting, and no greater testament is the fact that you've created Scott's bass lessons. It's not Scott's guitar lessons. Like, you've niched down within the guitar niche into just bass, which is genius. To a layman like me, guitar and bass are kind of one and the same. But
absolutely, yeah. I think it's, but that was by accident, and I definitely think that there's like scope for sure for going into different niches, like guitar and drums and piano, and I think that's wide open actually to do that. I think there's definitely an opportunity for somebody to come along and figure that out and do it on a bigger level, and I'm definitely looking into that, because I think that I'd be foolish not to. And at the minute, just over the last year or so, we've been building. I've had developers building out a platform that's going to be replicable, so we can use, if we do want to look into guitar or drums or whatever the instrument, we've got a platform that we can kind of duplicate. And like, obviously we've got a membership website, but I wanted to have a platform so we could use that, a membership platform, custom membership platform, and just kind of sort of like slot everything into it, because it's sort of like pre-built. I've also talked with some great bands actually that have got, that are very niche, like instrumental bands, and some kind of sort of like rock metal type bands as well, who are, that are doing that sort of like traveling around the world doing music workshops. They've got like, 200,000 or 300,000 followers on Facebook. And I think there's a really great opportunity for those guys also to have their own digital platform or educational platform. So
absolutely,
their fans can learn from them, etc., etc. So, and that's what that platform is going to be as well. So some sort of like white labeled platform that I can roll out into different niches. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of sort of like
the world is your oyster.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. Yeah.
So going back to YouTube, and you mentioned you started 7 years ago. How would you say it compares to now? Do you find it's quite a different platform? What worked 7 years ago? I mean, obviously it's significantly more competitive. That's an obvious thing.
Crazy competitive now. Yeah, it's like there's guys that come along now that if they're just, when I started off, I was doing it on a crappy camera that was like $50 or something, and no audio, well, audio obviously, but it was just off the camera, and it was like super grainy. But there was two of us on YouTube doing it, right? So it didn't matter. Whereas now guys have got like their first video looks like it's been professionally shot, and it probably has been professionally shot. They've maybe invested a lot of money in cameras and equipment and studio engineers to capture the audio. And I find that it's unfortunate that they're really finding it hard to get traction. Like I have like a specific guy, I'm not going to mention his name, but he emailed me or he actually PM'd me on Instagram, and he was like, have you got any tips? I'm really trying hard. I was like, just keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing. Like what that guy's doing is amazing. He's getting fantastic name musicians in. He's, releasing on a regular schedule. He's doing, he's doing everything he should do. But again, he's finding it hard to grow because of the platform and how it's working these days. I do find that the algorithms change somewhat, as well as the audience as well. The audience are kind of looking for something different now, I feel. I don't think they knew what they were looking for before. It was such a new thing. Whereas with the kind of sort of like the vlogging thing, and like all them vloggers, they're the guys that have got the most subscribers, millions and millions of subscribers. And I kind of think that has sort of like dribbled down into what works for the YouTube audience and how the YouTube algorithm plays it as well. I think that off the cuff, keeping it real, not like super, we're in a studio with DSLRs and sexy lights and all that thing. Like that is possibly not what the YouTube audience are looking for on that platform. I'm not saying that you could build a business off vlogging and that style of content, but on YouTube, I think you've got to think about the style of content that you're creating and not just is it fancy looking or not. And I've got direct results that I can talk about if you want.
Yeah, well, that's kind of, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what I was going to sort of touch on next, which is sort of what do you find are the kinds of videos that work better than others?
Okay, so for us, 2016 was a real melting pot of ideas, and we tested, like for the most part, they were all super pro shot DSLR. Like I've got a full studio, I've got like, loads of cameras that are really nice and expensive, and, the full thing, right? Audio. And so all of our videos in 2016 were pretty much like super pro. Yeah. And looking glossy as anything, right? Yeah. And we're also a real mix. So we were doing like podcast clips on there, and we had snippets from some of our courses within the membership, and then we had other lessons, and then we had some gear stuff. It was a real melting pot. And what I found is that the audience kind of just stagnated with it. And I didn't really know why at the time, but I think that going down that, like you'll have heard it a million times before, repurpose. You don't have to make all this custom content, repurpose it and put it on different platforms, which is what I was doing, right? So, and everybody recommends that. It just didn't work for us. It really turned the audience off. And when 2017 hit, I just started doing consistent content of the same variety, and that really helped our traffic and people tuning in and just kind of sort of like getting people back into the channel that were already subscribers. So that really helped, just consistent. If you look at like Casey Neistat or PewDiePie or called who's like, she's got like 8 or 9 million subscribers. She does like makeup and stuff like Zoella. All of them guys are doing like consistent content. They're not doing they're not repurposing. Because
when you say consistent, how consistent?
Consistent, not in time, but obviously be consistent with the time. Like I think everybody knows now, if you're going to do the YouTube thing, you need to be like the algorithm really favors people that post consistently. So whether that's sort of like once a day or once a week or twice a week or whatever it is, it needs to be consistent. You can't post 1 month and then come back the next month and post something else. Like it's really, really helpful to be consistent because the algorithm likes it. It's not our rules, it's their rules. So they're going to favor people that think, take that algorithm into account. So that's what I mean with consistency of posting. But what I was actually talking about was consistency of content and the style of content. So
what style do you think works best?
Style, I think that kind of like off the cuff, keeping it super real, like so they can see you as who you are is the best way of, the best content that works on YouTube. Because I think the YouTube content, I think we're kind of living in a world where reality TV is soaked so heavily into our culture that people really respond well to it. So if you look at like Gary V, right, it's reality TV. It's like it's the Kardashians repackaged for entrepreneurs. It's that thing, and I think that it's really soaked into the culture, and therefore people really resonate with that style of content. So I do think that style of content works well. It's hard to make, I should say that. It's like 2016, our video content was making it and producing that video content was a lot easier than what we've done in 2017.
Why is that?
Just because
You've got to be a lot more sort of, I guess.
yeah, the editing is crazy. The editing is crazy. Like, 2017, I sit in front of a camera, stick the lights on, hit record, deliver a lesson, press stop, hand it off to an editor, job done, right? So 2017, I have to wander around and do this vlog style content and just that whole thing. It's a lot of, it's not, I'm really into efficiency and batch recording and all of those things. It really doesn't lend itself to that.
You change T-shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I've done stuff like that. I've experimented with stuff like that before where I have sort of like changed T-shirts and that kind of thing. But it still adds like a lot of work. Is it worth it? For us, it was worth it. Revenue's gone up and, just to give you listeners a bit of an idea of the upturn we saw through just, changing the content style. We went from when we uploaded a video on average during 2017, within the first week of uploading a video, we get around 20,000 views on average. And in 2017, within a month, I'd raised that to around 60 to 80,000 per video within the first week.
Incredible.
And it was instant. It wasn't like, it didn't take me 6 months to sort of do this. It was like instant.
But you already had a lot of momentum then.
Yeah, I had a lot of momentum. And for me, it was different because I was kind of like reigniting old subscribers that had been turned off. So I don't know anything about business, really. Like I know as much as I've learned in the last, 6 or 7 years, which probably isn't that much. So I'm kind of learning as I go. And as the business grew, I automatically assumed, we should get fancier because we've got more revenue to help us do fancier videos. And so they look more polished and people will like that more. And that is actually wrong. That's, I was doing everything that a lot of people would do, invest more in the production of the videos that you put on YouTube and make them look fancier. And it actually just didn't have the desired effect that we were looking for. And what did was recording through a $400 Canon G7X camera with just audio straight out of the camera and definitely going for that realer style of content. People loved that. So that's what's worked in 2017 with us. And we've added like 150,000 subscribers over this year doing that strategy. And I've also experimented with different how many videos we upload per week. And we were doing 2. I went to 2 in January, February, March, April, which was fantastic. And then I moved to 1 a week and saw little to no drop in engagement across the channel, which is fantastic because it meant, I got a day back in my life a week, which is great.
That's always nice.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, top stuff. And what other little experiments have we done? Another thing that I did, which was interesting, is that I got rid of all the thumbnails off the channel. So
really,
yeah. So and I'm not saying that everybody should do this, but what I am saying is that people need to think about what their specific niche is, and then based on that, figure out what should be in the thumbnail. So what we had before during 2016 was, as everybody prescribes, like really nice text and a nice sort of like fancy thumbnail and, a big fat text so people can see what it is and makes it stand out. I looked at it and I just thought, this kind of in this sort of like January, February of 2017, this experimental phase that we were going through, I just thought, I play bass and I'm looking at the main video page on YouTube of our channel and I couldn't see that many basses. Like they were in the shot, and they were obvious, but they were covered with text. So I just thought, what actually will work better? And again, kind of looking to them guys like Casey Neistat. Does Casey Neistat have text? No, he doesn't. He has a really interesting shot generally for the thumbnail. So I kind of started experimenting with that, and I found that like there's no way to test that. I can't upload two videos the same and A/B them. But I definitely looked at the feel of that YouTube channel, and it was really obvious when I took those thumbnails off that, oh, this guy it's bass related. They didn't have to kind of sort of like look past the text to see the bass. They were just like, oh yeah, this guy's bass related, because all they could see is loads of bass guitars in the thumbnails. And what I made sure of is that, like, it's not just a shot from the video. I don't do that. I actually take a specific shot, but it's just a photo and use that for the thumbnail. But I don't put text over it at all. And now that's not going to work for Flynn. You want text on there because, like, what's he going to show? His face. He doesn't play an instrument or anything like that, or not that I know of, or you, Ilana. What are you going to like? That my point is that if, like, you're talking about Facebook ads, it's going to help to have something about Facebook in the imagery or something like that on the thumbnail. So I think just like what I've learned over the last few years is that even though people do give you best practices, sometimes you can move out of them best practices and get good results or better results than initially you think.
Well, I guess it helps that you are a member of your own market, that yes, you've fallen into this as the teacher, but you could stand back and have a think of, well, actually, this doesn't scream guitars and that's my market. And, you had a different perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you also mentioned how you really managed to build your database. As we know, yes, you've got over 450,000 subscribers, but you can't go to the bank and exchange them for money. So it's about what do you do with those subscribers? And so you mentioned how you've been building your database that way. How have you managed to really get people off YouTube and into your own website and, I guess, ultimately membership?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. Like, essentially, I mentioned it in the video. If you want to go further with us, go check out the website. Or I've also said, if you want sort of like some sort of like free goodies, whatever that sort of like thing is, go to the website. You can download it for free, and then put a link in the description.
And that's mentioned throughout the video or just at the end?
I've experimented with this, and like normally I've always done it at the end. On the older videos when I started, I used to give some preamble at the beginning of each one. Hey, Scott from Scott's Bass Lessons. If you haven't been to the website yet, go over, check it out. You can get this, that, and the other, blah blah blah, right at the front of the video. But I feel that for this channel, looking at the bigger channels and how they're playing it's too much. The audience they want you to be real, and I feel like if I'm punting something at the start of the same thing at the start of every single video, hey, my name's Scott Devine, blah blah blah. If you haven't been up to the website yet, do this, that. I mean, go and get this free stuff, and they just see it time and time again, every single week on every single video. It's just like, oh, leave it out. So I think there is a fine line that you've got to walk between like direct response marketer and actual being real and growing that YouTube audience. Is a funny one to throw in the mix as well. We've done the content upgrades as well on YouTube, where obviously we deliver a lesson, and in that lesson we're like, hey, you can grab the PDF and it's going to go, obviously, right? It's, and shoot them through to a landing page via the description on YouTube. Total no-brainer, right? None of them videos do very well that we found, because when you say that, the people stop the YouTube video and then they leave YouTube. They leave. So what do YouTube want them to do, right? They do not want them to stop the video because it's going to, harm the viewer time. And then they absolutely do not want them to leave YouTube. But that's what you're actually telling them to do. So it's like that playoff. And I've got no real sort of like the best answer, but just to be mindful of when you're doing that. Like, I've definitely in the past taken it on the chin and not put a content upgrade on a lot of videos, because I knew that I was just going to focus on growing the subscriber base on YouTube and getting YouTube to really like and push our channel over getting people onto an email list, and hoping that they were just going to find us just through raw kind of like old school marketing, not so much like, get on the email list and stuff like that. Now, don't get me wrong, I want people on that email list, but it's much of a like a softer sell for us on YouTube. It's like at the end of the video, then I'm going to tell them to go check out the website and et cetera, et cetera. And not only the website, I'm actually going to mention our product, go check out the membership website, but I'm definitely not going to call it a membership website because I think it's the worst thing to call things. Because people are like, oh yeah, like imagine if like Netflix were like, hey, go check out our membership website.
Exactly.
I've got, I tell them exactly what it is. Go check out our scottsbasslessons.com. It's a completely new opportunity for bass players just like you, because beforehand you had two choices. You could either study with a bass teacher in your area or try and find a bass teacher in your area. And 50% of the time, you're going to get lumbered with a guitar player who's trying to get some extra cash on the side. Or the other thing that you could do is go to music school and drop 60 grand a year on getting a degree. Now we've built a completely new online platform, a school that has the world's best faculty in terms of like bass education. You can interact with them every single week in real time. You can also study their courses in your own time. That's the kind of pitch I give. I'm not like, go check out the membership website.
Yeah,
So
nice.
yeah, because I think that membership website doesn't have any value in the customer's mind, but what you have to kind of sort of like create that value proposition. What is it you're selling? So I really kind of sort of like stay away from that membership website thing. But I have done that in the past, I have done it, but then I kind of like watched back videos and I was just like, oh God, this is like, it's almost like somebody saying, hey, what do you do for a living? You're like, oh, I run a website. I'm not really sure, that kind of thing. It's like that elevator pitch thing does make a difference, but make sure you have the elevator pitch for your actual audience as well as. I don't care about telling somebody in an elevator what I do, but what I do care about is being able to tell my audience exactly what my value proposition is within like 30 seconds, so they really understand it and they understand what is in it for them. So I make sure that I give that at the end of the YouTube video. And I do sometimes like mention within a YouTube video, hey, go, if you like this, you should check out this course within the membership because it's basically, there's more cool stuff like this in there. So I do, make sure that I am mentioning the membership in the videos. If it feels right, I'm not kind of like trying to engineer it. I could probably do more of it, but I think if I did more of it, I'd again have to be mindful of that YouTube audience and making sure that I'm not coming across like, like the guy who's trying to get you on an email list for his own sort of like good,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be real like the big YouTubers are, because I think that's what works on that platform. What else about? I'm trying to think about you're getting people to the like another weird thing that we do that is really counterintuitive that everybody I tell in like the marketing field, just it seems like batshit crazy for them. But it makes sense if you're trying to build a YouTube audience, is that we don't, do you know our like weekly emails where we send people like their free lesson, as it were, our sort of like content marketing for us. Obviously, I release a YouTube lesson every single week. And then I email people about it. We've got 200,000 people on the email list. I email 200,000 people. I don't send them to the website. I send them straight. Yeah, okay. So now,
that is
obviously,
left field.
the direct response marketer in me is like, whoa, send them to the website. That's where they're going to convert, et cetera, right? But at the same time, I'm playing the YouTube game where I'm trying to get YouTube to really, really respond and push our channel out there. And even though YouTube do take into account the views that happen through an embedded video, they're not ranked as high, or they don't, YouTube don't rank them as high as views that take place on YouTube. They want your audience on YouTube. And that way, they're going to really respond to those views. The algorithm's going to respond to those views a lot better if they happen on YouTube and not your website. So the play is like, what is going to be best? Like pushing them through to YouTube, and YouTube really pushing your channel because you're giving it consistent visitors and that whole thing every single week. Or are you going to be getting more? You're obviously going to get more short-term revenue if you push them through to your website. But the long-term goal, you've got to keep that in mind. Or that's what I do. I keep that in mind, and that's why we push people directly through to YouTube. And that has had, I'm absolutely like, again, it's not, I can't test this stuff out, but I do know a few people in the marketing sphere that are kind of like got their direct response chops down, and some of the bigger YouTubers do that. If they've got what I'm saying, so I'm mixing up what I'm trying to say. There's a few people I do follow that have got a really strong YouTube channel, and they've got a website, and they've got direct response chops down, and they are pushing their traffic through to YouTube. And they're not doing it because they're stupid. They're doing it because they're really trying to push their YouTube channel and then trying to sort of just build up that organic growth on YouTube, which will obviously just feed back into the website. So yeah, it's kind of sort of, short-term goal. What is it? Short-term losses, long-term goals. I can't remember what that's. It's that kind. Yeah, and it's definitely worked for us because we've had huge subscriber growth this year, and like revenues up by I think 35 to 40% on last year. So everything's on the up, and the only real things we've done are tweaked a few things on YouTube to make that happen. So
that's interesting.
Yeah,
so you've seen a direct correlation from that shift in traffic strategy.
Yeah, and I've seen other people do the opposite switch. There's another guy that I know in the music production field, and he was actually getting great growth on his channel, and he was sending people directly to YouTube. And I was talking to him. This was like in 2016, and I was like, "What are you doing? You're batshit crazy. Just send them directly to your website and embed it. That's where you're going to get the conversions." He started to do that, and I'm not sure whether there's any correlation or not, but he definitely, like, his view numbers dropped. So I don't know. There's a certain amount of kind of like just sort of like ninja-ness in it that we don't really understand, but he's sending them back to YouTube now.
Yeah, interesting. So the data nerd inside of me kind of wants to ask you this question about, it's okay to say no, in terms of, does YouTube give you some level of analytics behind, like, I guess, click-through rate, like from the video, how many people are leaving YouTube? Do they give you stats about kind of the performance? I mean, obviously you've got view count and that kind of stuff, but beyond that.
Yeah, they give you all this ninja stuff that I just, can you remember right at the beginning of this call? I was like, really need to hire somebody that is a bit more adept in the whole analytics and that side of it. Well, that's basically they give you all the data that you want. Okay. But I'm also sort of like creating all the content, and I'm doing all the launches. We launch a brand new course every single month, and all that. Yeah, so my time's a little bit sort of like spread thin. But yeah, it's really important to check out the analytics. I do it a little bit, but not like on a huge amount. I don't go super granular with it. And I'm sure there's a ton of data there that's going to be great when I hire to do that.
I also saw on your channel that you have interviewed some very famous bass guitarists.
Yeah.
I guess that's another way to capture their audience really as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it does capture their audience, but I think we're at the size now where most people know about us within that niche. It's a tough one. I think that sometimes getting these bigger guys in can be not more hassle than it's worth, but you think you're going to get a lot from it, and you actually don't get a lot from it. I can remember reading, do you know Ramit Sethi? I can remember, like, I'm on his list, and he emailed out a few months ago. He was like, his friend was selling a book, and he was on like something like Good Morning America or something like that, and he texted Ramit like a few days after, and he was like, I've sold like 10 copies off that. So like millions of viewers, sold 10 copies. I kind of think it's the same. Like, I think it helps. I think it's good for the brand. I think it's nice for people to see me with those characters that have got these huge, not huge audiences, because I don't think because I think it's a little different. They've got huge respect within the niche, but they haven't got huge audiences that they can reach out to. They don't have an email list. They barely go on Facebook. It's one of those. And if they do have a Facebook page, they don't manage it. It's somebody else. They're like, most of the bigger guys in our niche are like, oh man, they're like mid 50s plus, like Marcus Miller, Victor Wooten. I don't know if any of your audience will have heard of those guys, but I'm guessing they're like mid 50s. They don't want to be on Facebook. They don't even know about email lists. They don't know about, cultivating an audience and stuff. And there's a bigger conversation to have there, because I think that's going to have I think the record industry isn't dead. I know, there's that's a big conversation. I think it's actually in a transition stage where you're going to get these big artists that actually do get it in the future and are doing a lot of cross promotions and are growing their own email lists. And there's bands out there that have been, Radiohead and stuff like that. Guys like that have always been kind of on the cutting edge of that, but I think that's going to grow exponentially over the next few years. And I think that the music industry in itself is going to have some weird and wonderful changes because of that. Because at the minute, it's not really working. People do make revenue from touring and stuff, but making money from album sales is a tough one at the minute for a lot of people. Definitely. Yeah, so you're getting these sort of like legends.
Yeah.
legends. Like, we've got this guy who's recording a course from us this month. And like, when I was growing up, he was like all over the magazines. He was like literally a legend. And I was talking to him on Skype last week, and he was like, "I'm not gigging." I was like, "Oh, right." And I was like, "What about, have you got any albums in the works?" He's like, "There's no point. Nobody's going to buy it." He's not pissed about it. He's just like, that's just the world we're living in right now. So I think it's going to be interesting to see sort of like models appear in the future that do make that relevant again, making albums, and then, you know, kind of just, yeah, it's a different. I don't want to derail the conversation into, but it is a really interesting time we're living in right now. I should also say as well that I make no money from YouTube. Like,
that was
zero.
one of my questions I was going to ask you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure if you've got like 10 million subscribers, you can make like a decent whack off YouTube advertisement. But me personally, I do have ads on some of the older videos.
So you have experimented with it.
Yeah, just to see what it would, you know, just to see if it worked or not. It doesn't. And sometimes if somebody checks out a new video, it might have like an ad on the front, and that's because I've played some music in the actual video that has copyright on it, and that gives YouTube the right to stick an ad on the front of it. So I don't use ads at all for the most part, and nobody should really go into the YouTube game and think, yeah, I'm going to make money from ads. It's the worst model ever. You know, if you're going to go into the YouTube game, it should be to promote your own products. You know, that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, interesting. So how important would you say is that sort of, I don't even know what you'd call it, like your channel, I guess your channel page, in like sort of that unique channel video? I saw on your channel that I was played a video because I had not subscribed yet. I'm assuming if I had subscribed, I'd see a different video. Is that right?
Yeah, video. Yeah, you can set it up so people, when they hit that main channel video, which a lot of subscribers do, you can see where your subscribers are coming from, and a lot of our subscribers do come from that main channel video, so it is important. And I've got a video there that says, hey, if you're seeing this video, you're not subscribed to our channel yet. You know,
that's what I saw.
Get yourself together and subscribe. I probably don't say that, but, you know, just something to promote them to sign up, you know. And yeah, so that main channel page is good. You should also check out a guy called Tim Schmoyer. I can't remember his video channel, but he's good.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, like Noah Kagan. Do you know Noah Kagan?
Yep.
He's the guy behind AppSumo and the sumo things. He did a great interview with Tim Schmoyer on his podcast that's worth checking out.
I listened to that. Yeah, I thought it was excellent.
But you listen to it, yeah, again, sort of like Tim's like super analytical and really into it. So I think there's a lot to be learned there.
It's funny because, you know, you've said that not to use a custom thumbnail, where Tim Schmoyer is all about having a custom thumbnail, which is why I was kind of...
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's interesting.
I think that's it's the best practice thing, isn't it? I think best practice is to have a custom thumbnail. But I think that I'm trying to think of a different, like if I was doing mountain biking, I don't think I'd have custom thumbnails. Maybe. I don't know look at Andy Schrock, who runs I can't remember what his YouTube channel is called. He's like one of the most followed skateboarders in the world. I don't think, let me just check actually. I don't want to lie. Let me just check. YouTube, Andy Schrock, here we go. Let's see if he does have any videos. Thumbnail.
Did you get a sticker? Dude.
Sorry. Okay, yeah, he has no thumbnails, like no text on it. He's got like 1.6 million subs.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's getting like. But if you look at his channel, if anybody wants to check it out, Andy Schrock, it's spelled SCHROCK. If you check it out, the thumbnails are definitely considered. He's not uploading and just like that's it. He uploads and then he's going to think about, like, I'm not sure whether he's doing custom thumbnails, but he's definitely looking in detail at that video once it's uploaded and picking a thumbnail that is going to spark somebody's curiosity for sure. So it's not that I'm just saying, just don't worry about it, just upload it and upload it and leave it. And I think it works for him as well because it's skateboarding. You don't want to see text on a skateboard thumbnail. You want to see some dude, halfway up a half pipe about to land on the head or something, something like crazy, like
a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I think somebody that does use thumbnails in that same niche actually is the Ride channel. They do use thumbnails, and their thumbnails are great actually. But if you look at them, there's still a lot of the video. So you'd have to look at it to check it out, but it's definitely most of it is imagery, and then maybe have a tiny little logo in the corner or something like that. But again, they're showcasing what's in the video because it's visually exciting, or very visual in terms of the content that's going to be discussed or, watched within the video. Again, like if you're Pat Flynn or whoever, it's going to be different. Or you, Alana, it's going to be different. Then it probably does make sense to have a thumbnail with text in it. Tim Schmoyer, right? So Tim Schmoyer has the same background on every single one of his videos. He's stood in front of a camera. So if he was not to have a text in his thumbnails, it'd be crazy. It'd just look weird, wouldn't it? It'd be just sort of like some dude sat in front of a camera. So he needs it.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, how considered are you with your video titles and headlines? Do you sort of do keyword research about that, or you just,
I'm super considered about it. I don't do any keyword research. I'm just going for like what's going to spark somebody's intrigue.
So you more go for like a catchy headline rather than a keyword stuffed headline?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like you could, and sometimes you're going to do well in sort of like the long tail of it, because it might have a good keyword in it anyway. Like slap bass. Loads of people search for slap bass stuff on YouTube. So if you've got that term in the title, that's going to help for the long tail. But I just go really kind of like for the bloggy type of channel. 3 slap bass mistakes that every player makes, that type of thing, that you want a number in there, because that's like, people, there's 3. I want to know what the 3 is,
Yeah. And the descriptions as well?
The descriptions, yeah, generally I write because we do embed them over on the site still, right? Because we want to, soak up the SEO from that. But I just get the text that I've written for the lesson, which will include keywords for that lesson, and then dump that into the description box on YouTube. So that's there. I do make sure that the tags are there as well. And what else do I do? And then obviously sort of like the links to the website at the top of the description as well, like HTTP, whatever, wherever you're sending them to.
Yeah, nice. So for somebody who, let's say, is, not starting out, but, has a YouTube channel which they're looking to grow, what would you say is kind of the best advice that you would give them? I mean, you sort of touched on, regular content as well as making reality TV style videos. Is there anything else that you would recommend to someone?
Yeah, sort of like the consistency is a key, because it's out, you're playing in YouTube's back garden. It's their rules, and they're to give you bonus points if you're consistent with your posting content. So that's one. I would say if you can batch it. I can't at the minute because I'm messing around with this whole vlog thing. But try or vlog. I think the guys in the States call them vlogs. Do you call them vlogs or vlogs?
We call them vlog.
Yeah, vlogs. I think some of the guys in the States call them vlogs. Anyway, so yeah, like experiment with your different content styles, see what people are resonating with the most. And you know what really I think helped me the most in the first part of the growth on YouTube is I got out there and told people about it. I really think that when you're starting out, you cannot just post it on YouTube and hope that somebody's going to find it. Like, I was really engaged on a few forums, base forums in the niche, and every time I uploaded a video on there, I went onto that forum and I posted about the video. I was like, hey guys, go check out the new video I've done. And I was making sure that I was on them forums, interacting with people and being real and helping them out with no end goal in sight. I wasn't like, there wasn't any kind of, ulterior motive for me helping them out on that site other than like being cool and, hey, check out my stuff. Because if you just turn up on a forum and start posting links to your YouTube videos, people are going to be like, oh,
spammer.
Yeah, just sort of like, we're the BS meter is super high now. Everybody's been online long enough to realize that people are trying to pull a fast one. So yeah, just try and find forums. So if I was going to be on YouTube and I was, let's say, like mountain biking or something like that, and I want to be making mountain biking videos or knitting videos or whatever, I'd be looking for forums where I could get involved in those communities and be a positive addition to those communities. And then every time I created a free bit of content, I'd post it on the forums and tell people to go check it out. And I think that really helped, just because of these niches, now we're online, like they're really like into, they're like, even though there's a lot of people checking out bass guitars online, everybody kind of knows each other, right? So it's easier than you think to get like organic mouth to mouth kind of, is that what it's called? Mouth to mouth.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Yeah, mouth to mouth.
Mouth to mouth resuscitation.
Yeah, get that organic word of mouth thing going on within, online communities, and look for Facebook groups as well that you can be involved in, and try and get into that instead of just, I'm going to create cool content, post it on YouTube, and hopefully somebody will find it, because that's a hard sell.
Yeah, totally. Scott,
Yeah.
I'm really mindful of your time. You've been so generous with your knowledge and your time. And yeah, you've provided a huge amount of info that hopefully, I know I've learned a whole lot from you, and hopefully our listeners have too. So where can people find out more about you?
Just scottspacelessons.com, which is our main product that we sell.
Yep.
Check it out. It's a membership website, even though don't call it a membership website, guys. It's a membership website that that teaches bass essentially. And I'm trying to think of and that's basically how we make, revenue, the company. And I'm just trying to think if we've missed anything off that your listeners might get anything out of. And the main way that we actually sell it is through email. So getting people on that email list and nurturing them along doing the whole thing. Email marketing 101, right? Send them down an autoresponder and giving them relevant offers along the way. So
YouTube to build the email database to build the membership.
Yeah. YouTube just to build that sort of that following and that vibe of what you're trying to do, and
value of content.
Yeah, and then just getting people over to the website in a really nice, organic, and real way, not too forced, and getting them on the email list, and then converting them via all the ways that people convert them. But yeah, awesome that you've had me on, Alana. I could talk about this stuff all day. Seriously.
Well, we'll have to get you on for part 2.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm a super nerd. I've got we're doing quite some interesting stuff at the minute. We've got this, as I mentioned earlier, we're building out this huge membership platform that's being custom built from the ground up. So we're moving away from WordPress, which is obviously scary as hell.
Scandal.
Yeah, I know, because I understand WordPress, right? I'm moving away to this other thing, and we've got these different products and things that are coming up, and it's going to be 2018 is going to be a crazy year.
Yeah, well,
and we can talk about that for sure. And then also my content within the membership as well. I do have certain ways of producing that content that's really efficient that probably your listeners will enjoy as well in the future. I batch a lot of that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I do 50% of the content in 1 month for the entire year, that kind of crazy stuff.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and it's not even me. I pay outsourced guys. I get big names in the space to create courses for us. We're about to, in January, we're going to go to New York and record over there for a few weeks, and we'll create all the content for the membership, or 50% of what we do, and we'll create over in New York in January, and I'll see us through to December 2018.
Oh, that's brilliant! Well done.
So we should talk about that for sure, in a different one.
Done. Part 2. Stay tuned.
Yeah,
to come.
Part 2.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much, Scott. You've been awesome, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you for having me, Alana. See you later.
Okay, bye. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Talking Web Marketing. I hope you enjoyed all the amazing information that Scott shared. For more information on today's show, you can go to talkingwebmarketing.com, and we're going to create a short and free resource for you available, which you can download for your own reference later on. So thank you for listening, and be sure to tune in for more nuggets of gold, which we're going to share on some later episodes. Talk to you later.